start with the number change. What went into that?
I just wanted to be under 20. So I had a couple options. 18 was like the last. It was like 18, 19, and 2, I think. But then we signed Russ, so he went to 3, so that moved Tay to 2. So that was just like, put me in 18. No personal reason.
Speaking of Russell, Darius, how was it playing with him? What kind of connection you have going with him?
It's been awesome. You know, his knowledge of the game has shown already. You know, obviously he has amazing talent with the ball, accuracy, great touch on the deep balls. I don't really know that he's missed more than 1 or 2 deep balls this whole camp. You know, he's really accurate, really smart. Has helped keep us in good plays, you know, throughout the whole camp. So his impact's been felt for sure.
Wandale said it's such an easy ball to catch.
Yeah.
The way it hits your hands. Are you finding that too?
Yeah, definitely. It just has nice pace, even spiral, nice pace. You know, a firm ball that gets to you so you don't get killed, but, you know, smooth enough to where like it's very catchable.
How much do you think that should help you, right? The idea that he throws that good deep ball and that kind of plays into what your strength is, obviously. How much should that benefit you theoretically?
A ton. You know, I love going deep. That's kind of how I, you know, made my name, so to speak, in the league, was, you know, making plays down the field. But, you know, it's not just myself. You know, all of us can run. Malik can run. Jalen can run. Even, you know, Wandale's mini. His mini legs be moving, you know, so he can run too. So, you know, and it's shown, you know, over OTAs it's shown. You know, I think everybody's probably touched the ball down the field from Russ at some point. So I think it'll help everybody be able to stretch the field and add some, you know, yards per catch.
Did you see some progress from Jalen this summer, or this spring rather?
Yeah, he definitely, you know, what he was eating, maybe people or something. He came back swelled up. So he put on a good about 15, 20 pounds, I think. So he's been stronger. He looks bigger. He looks stronger, and that's definitely, you know, helped his game some. And I think he's definitely made strides so far this spring.
How would you describe your chemistry with Russ so far?
It's honestly, it's been pretty smooth. Like it feels like he's been here longer than he has, and I'm sure some of that attributes his experience. And he has a very clear vision of what he wants. He's a very clear communicator. So, you know, as long as your ears work, all you gotta do is listen and do what he needs you to do. And, you know, the rest takes care of itself.
What does that mean exactly? You say he's a clear communicator. I mean, can you give me an example of what?
Yeah, so like an example of, so he does throw a very good deep ball, right? But that's obviously his mentality. He wants to push the ball down the field and attack. So if we're in the huddle and we have a play, and, you know, there's certain plays where the ball is designed to go certain places. And so in his head, he might, you know, be in the huddle, be like, hey, you got the post here, but like you're not dead. You know, because a lot of times you might run a post corner, whatever, different concepts, and the guy underneath always gets the ball. So you're the guy running deep, you're just kind of like running for the love. But it'll be like, hey, alert here, like the safety drives, I'll give it to you. And he's done that multiple times over camp. And so that's kind of what I mean by like, okay, it gives you some like, all right, you're going to run anyways, but it gives you a little extra juice of like, I can really get the ball right here.
What do you make of the QB room? A lot has been made, as you know, one of the most interesting in the league.
Yeah, it is. It's a interesting compilation of individuals. But, you know, Jameis and Russ are, you know, that veteran presence. Jameis is a wild card, though, just as a human being. You know, so having his personality around is amazing. But also, you know, they both have great presence and leadership about them. You know, you see the age is probably a little rude. The seasoning in both of them, you know, the veteran leadership they both have. And also, you know, you have Dart, you know, the young kid. He's kind of learning, finding his way, but he has 2 good mentors to learn from.
What's the most wild card thing Jameis has done?
It's like, it's so hard to describe. It's just like how I'm talking right now, he'll be talking just like this, and it's just the random thoughts that come to his head, and they just come out. And it's like, we were talking about, you know, a slant. How did we get to Kentucky Fried Chicken? You know, it's like just hard lefts. Like, I can't think of an exact example, but like that's how I could describe it. It's just like random hard lefts, but then he comes right back on topic. So it's like, am I tripping or are you tripping? But you know, he's a really fun guy to be around.
Is that a good thing though, to kind of keep you on your toes?
100%, because like I said, he has the most unique balance I've ever seen of like light but serious. So he's very serious, like, because he's a quarterback. So he's very knowledgeable. He's very serious when he needs to be serious. But at the same time, he has a light energy about him. So it keeps, you know, people calm. You know, so it's not like you're not like nervous to play with him. You know.
Talk about such a unique group. When we talked to you after you re-signed, it was totally unsettled. I think Tommy was probably the only guy under contract. What was it like seeing these pieces come together? Just like your reaction as they did that?
Yeah, you know, free agency is always chaos, you know. So I think we signed Jameis first. So, you know, that was, you know, obviously it was like great, cool. You know, we've got a veteran quarterback who's succeeded. Selfishly as a receiver, everywhere's been a receiver's 8. So I was like, hey, you know, cool with me. But you know, obviously then we went and got Russ a little while later. You know, you add somebody who's been a champion, a 10-time Pro Bowler, you know, a true pro, and you know, you look at the room, and then we drafted Dart. So you know, you kind of have your young gun who's, you know, at one point going to get his chance to shine and show what he can do. So, you know, I think we have a good combination of guys.
You seem pretty energized, you know,
Yeah.
for OTA number 9. Is that because these quarterbacks, because of you've got a contract, you know, you're not year to year here? I mean, why is it true that you are kind of jacked up a little bit here?
I would say so, you know, because you're having fun. You know, OTAs is the funnest form of football because practice don't kill you like camp does. But for receivers, you get a chance to run around, get open, and catch the ball, you know, score touchdowns and make plays. So, in my opinion, you know, OTAs is the most fun as a receiver because you get the fun stuff without killing yourself and being dog tired.
Now, in other years, you've had OTAs, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you felt that way. But do you
Sure.
feel any different now with these quarterbacks after a terrible season, and you know, feeling that there's a light at the end of the tunnel? Because remember last year, you were pretty down on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I definitely think that we have a lot of new energy. Period. Just in the quarterback room, the receiver room. You know, we've had some of our young guys, UDFA guys, that came in and played really good ball. So I think that's probably part of it. Now I'm, you know, older, you know, so just kind of feeling the youth, you know, life of youth around me.
Do you think you're kind of do you think it validated your decision to come back more, just that energy?
Yeah, for sure. You know, obviously I came back because, you know, I was confident in the direction that we were going to go in. And obviously once we make the acquisitions, you know, obviously a lot of people mostly focus on the quarterback position. So, you know, once we, you know, acquire the guys we have now, you know, that obviously just raised the confidence level of, all right, we have a chance to be a really, really good offense.
How do you think the offense looked today?
We did okay. We started fast, and then we kind of had some lulls. Most of it was like mental error lulls, though, not physical errors. You know, just little, you know, OTAs, there's a lot of stuff in at once, so you're going to have some of that. But, you know, we did a good job of riding that wave, and then we ended up finishing practice strong. So, you know, it was honestly indicative of a game. You know, you might start fast. It's going to be a rough part, and got to find a way to finish strong.
You were talking about your chemistry with Russ. How do you do with Jaxson as far as he gets into maybe one rep? You said at some point he's obviously going to come in. You don't know when that'll be. So how do you go about trying to establish it with him as well as Russ?
Yeah, he pops in our group a good amount. Like probably, I don't really know exactly how many, but I know that I've been in the huddle and I don't always look at the quarterback. So, you know, I've been in the huddle, I've heard different voices and I've been like, oh, you're in. And so, you know, he's had a chance, you know, to get his reps here and there. But, you know, I know he's learning. Like I said, in OTAs, there's so much information in. For a quarterback, it's super hard, you know. So, but he's done a good job of coming along. He seems like a smart kid. He definitely can spin it for sure. You can see the arm talent without a doubt. So, you know, I think you know he's got a chance to be a good football player.